Good day and welcome to another edition of Citizens Movement Radio News. Today is Wednesday, 18 June 2025. I'm Bernard Stele, ready to bring you the latest news and updates. Here are today's headlines on Citizens Movement Radio News. Government betraying legacy of June 16 by ignoring crisis in education sector, says MP. Demonstrators claim victory after Axile Mnangagwa's cancelled speakings at a London summit. Grand-scale looting an existential threat to Zimbabwe, says Comrade Gift Ostalos Siziba. Now let's delve into the detailed stories. ZANU-PF government has been accused of ignoring sacrifices made by African youths who died during the 1976 Soweto uprising for the right to quality education. This was said by MP for Mashonaland West Women Proportional Representation Honorable Mutsam Rombedzi, who said the government's failure to address lecturer strikes at University of Zimbabwe is a betrayal of efforts of heroes of June 16. Mrombedzi also raised concern over the number of school dropouts due to poverty, which she said raises questions about the government's commitment about addressing issues of youth as signified by the Day of the African Child. Mrombedzi said,
Indeed, June 16, 1976 is a day that has been etched in the history of Africa. And today we know June 16 as the Day of the African Child. And it was on this day that young people in Soweto rose with courage, demanding their right to quality education in a language they understood, in a system that respected their dignity. Many of them were killed, but their message thundered across borders. Education is a right, not a privilege. That same spirit of resistance fed into our own liberation struggle here in Zimbabwe. Young people took arms, others mobilized in schools, in churches, and on the streets. The promise was that the new Zimbabwe would never marginalize the youth. But today, I ask, where are we when the University of Zimbabwe lecturers are striking over unpaid salaries? When our rural girls are dropping out because they cannot afford uniforms or sanitary wear, when thousands of school children walk long distances to schools with no teachers, can we truly say we have honored that promise? What we are seeing is a betrayal, not just of the Soweto generation, but of our own constitution, which guarantees the right to education for all. And our youth are still fighting, not only now. The battlefield is unemployment, the battlefield is poverty, the battlefield is a lack of opportunity. And the baton has been passed from 1976 to us, and we cannot drop it. The Day of the African Child must not be reduced to slogans. It must remind us of our duty to protect, educate, and empower every child in Zimbabwe. The struggle lives on, and so must our commitment.
First Lady Axile Mnangagwa yesterday chickened out of attending a FLE summit in London, UK, following demonstrations against her by citizens in diaspora. Instead, Ms. Mnangagwa attended another event in Dubai. The organizers of the demonstration said by skipping the London meeting, Axile accomplished their mission. Despite Ms. Mnangagwa's no-show, the group of demonstrators held a peaceful protest in London against Ms. Mnangagwa over collapse of the country due to corruption presided over by her husband. Former MP for Pilanda Bachabalala Gift Ostalos Siziba has raised concern about grand corruption involving cartels linked to Emerson Mnangagwa's office, saying it poses a serious threat to the country's existence. Siziba urged citizens to speak against corruption and warned that they will organize masses to confront Mnangagwa over corruption. His comments comes amid revelations of systematic corruption involving granting overpriced tenders while following due procedure to individuals linked to Mnangagwa. Meanwhile, investigative journalist Hopo Chingono has revealed that a company linked to one of Emerson Mnangagwa's so-called special advisors, Paul Tungwarara, has already started refurbishment work at Parere Nyatwa Hospital. Chingono said Tungwarara's Prevail group of companies began work at Parere Nyatwa the night Mnangagwa visited the hospital. Tungwarara has been at the center of the 2030 agenda to extend Mnangagwa's term of office beyond 2028. Opposition official Eric Gono said development under Emerson Mnangagwa's government comes at the cost of corruption. The former Lobengula Magwegwe lawmaker said Mnangagwa would be remembered for presiding over the most corrupt government in the history of Zimbabwe. Let's hear Gono speaking.
Mr. Mnangagwa is going to go down the history of this country as the most ruthless, corrupt leader we have ever heard of. We saw just yesterday almost $500 million contract to his friends to refurbish Paralenia to a hospital. This is so embarrassing. A government that does not go through due process in awarding tenders, a government that inflicts bills like that. It's so embarrassing. And this is in just a very short space of time. The second, a very corrupt deal that has swindled taxpayers' money. We saw again another one coming in the rehabilitation of the Victoria Falls Bulawayo Highway. All this without due process of tendering, all these contracts being given to the friends of the first family. It's very embarrassing, but it's also a challenge to the people of Zimbabwe, because these people continue to enrich themselves and the people of Zimbabwe are watching. It's a test to the people of Zimbabwe whether or not they really understand what's going on, and are they prepared to just let these families swindle government funds without any remorse, without any repercussions. So I think now it's a point where the people of Zimbabwe must then ask themselves, is this really what we want as a people? For the rest of the citizens to suffer in enriching a few families.
We spoke to citizens to hear what their thoughts are on these new looting schemes by Mnangagwa's cronies, Wigneo Chivayo and Paul Tungwarara.
Hello Zimbabwe, hello citizens, Tony Shawa here. Well, the issue of corruption in Zimbabwe has become a cancer. And the most unfortunate thing about it is that it's coming from the top, going down, you know. So, you know, if the top starts to rot, obviously the rest is history. The rest is just going to follow suit after the top, because the top are the people who are responsible for everything that happens in our country. They're the ones who controls the levers of power. So if they cannot manage corruption themselves, and within their consciences they don't feel that remorse that most of the people of Zimbabwe are suffering, most of the people of Zimbabwe are losing their identity, their dignity. Imagine all those kids who are being born in South Africa, in England, in America, all over the world, who are Zimbabweans. They are getting, they are losing touch with their heritage. They are losing touch with where they come from. But if you look at it, you see that all is emanating from the corrupt regime that we have in Zimbabwe. And it's quite very unfortunate that these people continue to bring in new tactics in order to continue stealing from the nation. And it's so sad that there is nobody who is putting them into check to see what's really going on, because like I said earlier, they are the ones who controls the levers of power. So do you think they can arrest themselves? No. Do you think they can really truthfully arrest somebody who is in power, or who has a position in power over corruption, when they themselves are into it? Do you think they can? It's easy for them to just arrest or punish an ordinary citizen for stealing a chicken, or for something very silly, something very small. But you see that we have people who are stealing millions, and it's affecting the country, it's affecting the nation, it's affecting everyone. It's a cancer that we have in Zimbabwe, which needs a lot of brainstorming and a lot of sacrifice among us as the citizens and those who are in the political or opposition politics, so that we see that this is solved once and for all. Thank you.
I am Lenton Mwanaka, an ex-political prisoner. The massive looting and widespread corruption being caused by the cruel Mnangagwa's government have severe and far-reaching effects on citizens. The looting has resulted in economic instability, leading to mismanagement of public funds, reduced economic growth, and increased poverty. Mnangagwa's looting and corrupt government has increased inequality. A small elite is benefiting at the expense of the general population, exacerbating into inequality. The heartless looting government has resulted in a loss of trust. The widespread of looting and corruption erodes citizens' trust in government institutions, leading to disillusionment and social unrest. Looting itself is a violation of human rights, where Mnangagwa government prioritized their interests over citizens' rights, leading to abuses and violations. The regime of Mnangagwa has stunted development, hindering economic development, infrastructure growth, and social progress. Looting and corruption may cause citizens to become frustrated and angry, leading to protests, demonstrations, or even violence. The People's President we voted for in 2023, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, please save us from this mess. Thank you.
Harare Women Proportional Representation MP Honorable Gladys Hlashwayo has warned that legislating patriotism can lead to abuse of citizens who are opposed to ZANU-PF. Speaking in Parliament this week, Honorable Hlashwayo said terms such as national interest have been abused in the past as justification to punish members of opposition. She added the legislation of patriotism curtails basic freedoms enshrined in the Constitution. Let's hear her speaking.
Motion put forward by Honorable Matiki. Let me pose it from the very onset of my debate, Madam Speaker, that I am vehemently opposed to this motion and the idea of legislating patriotism for the reasons that I'm going to outline. Number one, legislating patriotism can be a tool for abuse of power and suppressing dissent through punishing individuals who express opinions that challenge the status quo or the government of the day. In a competitive authoritarian context such as Zimbabwe, where there is party-state conflation, terms such as national interest are often euphemisms for advancing party interest and interest of the ruling class or ruling elite. In this case, legislating patriotism might be actually legislating the ZANUification of the state. Number two, Madam Speaker, there is also a danger that legislating patriotism can erode civil liberties and restrict freedoms of speech, assembly, and association. These civil liberties are at the heart of any democratic society and encoded in our own Bill of Rights, in our own Constitution, and must therefore be protected and protected rather than taken away by opaque, divisive, and undemocratic laws under the guise of legislating patriotism. The proposed prayer by the mover of the motion also has a chilling effect on public discourse, Madam Speaker. Open, honest public debate that is so instrumental to democratic development might be discouraged as fear grips the country. In an era where efforts are being made to re-engage the international community, as enunciated in the National Development Strategy, among other policy blueprints, and in the context of globalization, Madam Speaker, legislating patriotism risks further isolating the country, as other nations may view such laws as violations of human rights and democratic norms. As Zimbabweans, we must reject the acerbic, inward-looking dispositions that led to our isolation and failed attempts at autarky. Patriotism, Madam Speaker, can also be very subjective. The definition of patriotism can be very subjective. And any attempt to define it risks being arbitrary and unfair, more so in our context. If you are to ask me what patriotism is, Madam Speaker, I will probably tell you what it is not, based on my lived experiences. I will tell you that it is not siphoning of national resources into individual pockets. I will probably tell you, Madam Speaker, that it is not abducting citizens in broad daylight, including parliamentarians, Madam Speaker, and opposition leaders, because they belong to a different political party. Patriotism is not extrajudicial killings of opposition members because they have not voted for your party. It is not weaponizing of the judiciary against political opponents. It is not dismantling of state institutions, including, Madam Speaker, a whole parliament, into commissariat departments of one political party. It is not targeting an ethnic group for massive killings under the guise of national interest. It is not plunging the country into chaos through attempts to change the constitution and extend one's term of office. It is not that, Madam Speaker. Patriotism can never be blind, can never be blindness to flaws in your own country. I will quote Mark Twain, Madam Speaker, and tell you that patriotism is supporting one's country all the time and one's government when it deserves it. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, I wish to reiterate my strong opposition to the motion under debate. Legislating patriotism is a slippery slope, Madam Speaker, that might end up breeding authoritarian consolidation in this our country and suppression of fundamental rights of Zimbabwean citizens. Honorable Speaker, patriotism must be nurtured and never legislated. Focus on government and indeed this very House must be on prioritizing the interests of ordinary citizens through the protection of human rights, provision of potable water, electricity, good hospitals, education, jobs, plugging revenue leaks and ending corruption. And patriotism would develop, Madam Speaker, organically. Seeking provision of citizens, seeking provision of services to citizens and protection of their rights, and everything else will be added unto you. I so submit.
Reports are that South African authorities have raised concern over a high number of Zimbabwean officials with diplomatic passports that pass through their ports of entry. It is reported that a number as high as 300 per day pass through South Africa ports of entry using diplomatic passports. Emmerson Mnangagwa's government is notorious for dishing out ambassadorial roles to influencers like prophets. Individuals like Hubert Angels and Passion Java, who were fingered in corruption deals, have been assigned roles as diplomats by Mnangagwa. Former Foreign Affairs Minister Walter Mzembe's freedom bid hit a snag as the Harare magistrate consigned him to remand prison for skipping court when he was in exile. Mzembe was remanded to the 1st of July, where commencement of his trial is expected. Reports are that the former G40 kingpin was arrested while on his way back to Zambia after failing to meet Emmerson Mnangagwa. Now on Citizens Movement Radio News, let's take a look at our sports news. Divine Lunga's Mamelodi Sundowns made history last night after becoming the first African club to win a match at the ongoing FIFA Club World Cup. Sundowns beat South Korean side Ulsan HD 1-0, courtesy of a 36th minute goal by Abraham Reyners. Warriors left back Lunga started the match for Sundowns. Earlier, Fluminense and Borussia Dortmund, who are in the same group, played out a 0-0 draw. The English Premier Soccer League has announced fixtures for the 2025-2026 season, which set to commence on the weekend of 16 to 17 August. Manchester United host Arsenal on the opening weekend, while champions Liverpool take on Bournemouth at Anfield. Chelsea take on Crystal Palace, while Manchester City travel to Marshall Munet's Wolves. To conclude our Citizens Movement Radio News, here are the headlines once more. Government betraying legacy of June 16 by ignoring crisis in education sector, says MP. Demonstrators claim victory after Axelium Mnangagwa's cancelled speakings at a London summit. Grain-scale looting an existential threat to Zimbabwe, said Comrade Gift Ostalo Siziba. The news on CMR English was brought to you by Bernard Chele. Me and the whole CMR team wishes you all a good night.